Introduction to Scuba Diving Risks and Safety. Welcome to scuba diving, one of the most remarkable things you'll ever learn to do. This sport lets you explore an underwater world that very few people ever get to see. But like any adventure activity, does it carry some risk? Yes, it does. Here's the good news though. Research shows that recreational scuba diving carries about the same level of risk as everyday activities most of us never think twice about, like driving a car or going for a jog. So the risk is real, but it is genuinely small when you dive smart. Here's something really important to understand about diving risk. Around 90% of diving fatalities come down to diver error. Not bad luck, not faulty equipment. That means the risk is largely within your own control. This course teaches the safe diving practices that keep it that way. Think of every rule in this manual as a tool, one that keeps you safer and, honestly, makes diving more enjoyable. Following those practices is the main way to lower your risk and dive with real confidence. So what are the two leading causes of diver fatalities? They are pre-existing medical conditions and running out of air, which is closely tied to poor buoyancy control. Cardiac events alone contribute to almost a third of all recreational scuba fatalities, and that risk rises sharply with age. Running out of air is involved in about 41% of dive deaths, and it almost never comes from equipment failure. It starts with the way the diver manages the dive. Understanding these two risks is where your safety education begins. The medical risk is very manageable, and there are 3 simple things you can do to reduce it. First, complete the medical questionnaire as accurately and honestly as you can. Second, update your dive medical whenever your health changes, not just once when you start diving. And third, maintain a healthy lifestyle, because a healthier body handles the physical demands of diving much better. These aren't bureaucratic boxes to tick. They are genuine layers of protection, and each one matters. So why does buoyancy control show up as a leading factor in running out of air? Think about it this way. When you're struggling to control your position in the water, fighting to stay level, or sinking when you don't want to, your body is working harder. And the harder you work, the faster you breathe through your air supply. Buoyancy control is simply your ability to control whether you float, sink, or stay level in the water. Master it, and diving feels easy and relaxed. Struggle with it, and your air disappears faster than planned, which is exactly how trouble starts. Here's something reassuring. You are absolutely not expected to master buoyancy on day 1. It is a learnable skill, and your instructor will teach it and build it into every stage of your training. The more you practice, and the more dives you log, the better your buoyancy control becomes. Good buoyancy control also protects the underwater environment. Staying neutral means you won't accidentally kick a coral reef. So it's good for you and good for the ocean. Be patient with yourself. It genuinely comes with practice. Now let's talk about gas monitoring, because failing to watch your gauge is the #1 cause of running out of gas, ahead of inexperience and even overexertion. Most out-of-air situations don't happen because something broke. They happen because the diver simply wasn't checking. Good divers build the habit of checking their gauge early, often, and after every exertion or depth change. That's the routine. Check early, check often, check after every change. And before you ever enter the water, set a firm turnaround pressure, so the dive runs to a number, not just a feeling. Dive planning is the third piece of the puzzle, and most out-of-air situations are actually set up before the diver ever enters the water. Poor dive planning is a leading contributor to running out of gas. A solid plan does one essential thing. It sets your limits in advance, so you're not making those decisions in the moment based on how you feel. When you plan a dive, you incorporate a breathing gas limit into that plan from the start. A turnaround pressure, agreed on before you jump in, is one of the simplest and most powerful safety habits you'll build in this course. Scuba diving is genuinely full of fun and excitement. It gives you a unique chance to explore places you may never have imagined. Every skill you learn in this course, every safe diving practice you follow, is a layer of protection that lets you enjoy that adventure with confidence. Learn the skills, follow the practices, and enjoy every dive. One small practical note before we move on. All ISC course materials, including this one, are written in US English spelling and grammar and produced with the help of AI tools for our images, narration, and translations. The dive training itself is always developed and reviewed by experienced dive professionals. Prerequisites for practical participation and certifications. Before you get anywhere near the water, there are a few prerequisites you need to meet, and every single one of them exists for a good reason. These requirements aren't just paperwork. They're the foundation that keeps you, your buddy, and everyone else in the water safe. Let's walk through each one so you know exactly what's expected before in-water training begins. First up, age. To participate in any in-water training, you must be at least 10 years old. That's the minimum age for this course. No exceptions. Now, if you're under 18, there's one additional step. A parent or legal guardian must provide written consent before training can begin. So, if you're a younger student, make sure that form is signed and handed in before your first session. Next is the Dive Medical Questionnaire, and this one is really important. Every participant must complete this form before entering the water. It's designed to identify any health conditions that could make diving unsafe for you personally. Depending on how you answer, your instructor or dive center may require a signed medical clearance from a doctor before you can start in-water training. If that happens, don't see it as a barrier. See it as your instructor looking out for you. When in doubt, speak with your instructor before training starts. You'll also need to read and sign an assumption of risk acknowledgement. Scuba diving carries real risks. That's just the truth. And this document confirms that you understand those risks and commit to practicing safe diving at all times. This isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to make sure you're going into this with your eyes open, as an informed and responsible diver. Another requirement is water comfort. You need to feel at ease in the water and demonstrate basic watermanship ability. What does that mean practically? Things like being able to swim and stay afloat without assistance. You don't need to be a competitive swimmer, but you do need to show that the water is a comfortable environment for you, because that comfort is the baseline everything else builds on. Finally, throughout this course, you'll complete knowledge assessments, quizzes along the way, and a final exam at the end. You must pass all of them. These aren't just hoops to jump through. They confirm that you genuinely understand the knowledge before you apply it underwater, where mistakes matter. Think of every quiz as a chance to check your own understanding while the stakes are still low. Now let's talk about what you can actually earn on this course, because depending on how far you go, there are 3 different certifications available to you. Each one opens up a different level of diving, and every single one builds on the same core requirements: an academic exam, a watermanship test, and a set of water sessions. Let's look at each level. The first is pool diver certification. This one is specifically designed for students who live far from any open water dive site, so all of your training happens in a pool. To earn it, you need to pass 3 things: the watermanship test, the academic exam, and confined water sessions 1 through 4. It's a complete, meaningful certification, just set entirely in a controlled pool environment. The second level is scuba diver certification. With this cert, you can dive in open water to a maximum depth of 12 meters, that's 40 feet, as long as a dive master is supervising you. To earn it, you complete 5 requirements: the watermanship test, the academic exam, confined water sessions 1 and 2, and open water dives 1 and 2. It's a real open water certification, and it's a fantastic first step into the ocean. The third and most complete certification on this course is open water diver. This is the one that gives you the most freedom. You can dive to a maximum depth of 20 meters, or 66 feet, with a certified dive buddy, in conditions similar to or better than where you trained. To earn it, you complete the watermanship test, the academic exam, all 4 confined water sessions, and all 4 open water dives. That's the full course. Let's zoom out for a moment and look at how the 3 requirement types, watermanship, academic exam, and water sessions, stack up across all 3 certifications. Every level requires the watermanship test and the academic exam, no exceptions. What changes as you move up is how many confined water sessions and open water dives you complete. Pool diver stops at 4 confined water sessions with no open water. Scuba diver adds 2 open water dives. And open water diver takes you through all 4 confined water sessions and all 4 open water dives. The further you go, the more skills you build and the more independent your diving becomes.